Hey guys, this is Matt. I wanted to do a quick video here on the Windows Photo app for the erase tool. Obviously, when you're editing everything yourself in Lightroom and Photoshop and stuff like that, there's erase tools built into that, remove tools, and they work great. But when you're QCing stuff that's already been edited and stuff like that, I have everything already in a folder on my Windows PC, and it's just nice to be able to quickly remove things with the Windows app and do some other things with it without having to go into those programs, and everything saves just immediately back into that folder. So I use it a lot, but it definitely has limitations. So we're going to go ahead and go through some examples, and you can kind of see what it's capable of doing. So we'll start with the most common thing that I do with it, which is car removal from drone shots. So now most editors will remove this stuff for you. So it kind of depends on what your editors will or will not do for you. But in the event that you do it yourself, we come in here to edit, erase AI, and I try to click and drag. You don't want to go too far past the object, but you want to go past it a little bit so it knows what it's reading from. And as you can see, it does a pretty good job. For the most part, you can see some smudging there and stuff like that. Try to get close to the house here. Sometimes you have to click a few times to get it to look okay. So does a pretty good job as long as the environment isn't too difficult around it, such as specific lines or curbs and stuff like that. So I would say it gets a pretty good pass for general vehicle removal. So let's try something a little more difficult. Let's see. All right, so here's where it'll start showing, some of its limitations. Ceiling fans, that's something, or regular fans, not ceiling fans. Things like this are things that I would typically remove. And the Windows Photo app is going to have a hard time with this stuff. So if you want to move anything on a wall, family photos, stuff like that, it usually does a pretty good job. So yep, not too bad right there. But when we come in here and grab this, and I like to address the object before its shadow, because it's less for it to have to remove, and then the shadow is usually easier. Yeah, so totally distorted the floor there, so that's not going to work. Let's try, and I just know for a fact that dealing with the shadow from this and stuff like that is just not going to be able to handle it. So fail here with the fan. All right, let's try. So here is a situation where the homeowners weren't home and we couldn't get them to move the vehicles. And I did end up using a different tool to erase this car, and it worked pretty well in Photoshop. But let's just see what we can get done with the Windows app. So yeah, obviously that was a window, and that's not going to fly. Other things though that it can help a lot with, like this little thing in the grass here, it's probably going to do fine with that. Yep. So get rid of those shoes that are right there. So with little stuff, with simpler things, it really works pretty well, and there's no reason to hop into Photoshop and take care of this stuff. But it's going to struggle with anything complicated. Let's see if we can try something else here. All right, so let's see if we can get rid of this little bench here. So obviously this isn't going to work. It didn't do a good enough job with the trim. So yeah, it's not going to help you too much unless you're trying to move something flatter like this. This should be fine. But I use it mostly for getting vehicles out of driveways, and if there's something quick. Yeah, so if there's something, most of the time on walls, it can get rid of it pretty well. And with the Windows folders, you have everything in preview showing up pretty well, and so you can kind of see, okay, I know I can pretty much use the photo app to get rid of this stuff. And sometimes if I don't think it's going to be able to handle a lot of what I need, then I'll open everything in Photoshop or Lightroom and take care of it that way. But anyways, just wanted to show you guys how this erase tool works and show you some of its limitations and where it might be faster to use it. So have a great day.